Hey everybody, it's Bennett, your fantasy football commissioner with the Week 2 recap. My commitment, staying strong here to do a recap every single week this year with no excuses. So here we go. It's Wednesday, September 17th. So we're going to go back to the game of the week, which did ultimately, well, I guess I have to go. Full disclosure here, I did not watch much of the Monday night game because my guys were out of it and I was doing some other things. So let's start with the game of the week that I know of, which of course my team, the Slim Aussies, losing by 1 point to the Catonsville Cartel, 134-133. So of course I keep a little bit closer eye on my team than others, just naturally. But as the commissioner, I do try and be impartial, and this was actually a really, really good game. First of all, the totally unexpected Friday suspension of Adrian Peterson obviously did not bode well for me. Just totally out of the blue. And of course, just to show you how fantasy just trumps everything, is my first thought is not for his 4-year-old son, which of course is terrible, but how does it affect me and my fantasy team? And I had to do a double take and slap myself for that thought, but that was the first thought that went through my mind. But aside from that, the reality is that Adrian Peterson was not in the game. So definitely empty-handed. Got to give the start or the pickup of the week to Catonsville Cartel, who immediately pick up Adrian Peterson's backup. Now, the tendency is always to just, get the backup guy when a main guy goes down. But usually you'd like to see, have some knowledge of whether the player is going to be any good or not. So my first thought is that Gallo just picked him up because that's what he should have done, and possibly also to block me. But at the end, I remember that John is a ardent Minnesota Vikings fan and has intimate knowledge of their backup running back chart. And sure enough, Matt Asadia did not have a great week, but of course caught a receiving touchdown right at the beginning of the game, which just didn't bode well for the Aussies. He only ended up with 18 points, but again, nice little pickup there with an early touchdown. So basically a steady game from both teams. No one really blew up. The biggest thing was that it came down to Sunday night, where the Cartel had Matt Forte and Alshon Jeffrey and Jay Cutler for the Slim Aussies. And the Slim Aussies were down by about 20 points going into the game. So definitely the Slim Aussies needed everything to go right to get the win, and it almost did. First of all, Forte had a mediocre game. Alshon Jeffrey had a mediocre game. And Jay Cutler, I believe, had 4 touchdowns, three of them to Brandon Marshall, and one to Martellus Bennett. So that was the perfect thing that the Aussies needed. However, it came down to the very last drive for the Bears, and just before the 4th touchdown for Cutler, Alshon Jeffrey caught a 29-yard catch, and that ultimately was the difference in the game because a couple plays later, Jay Cutler threw, like I mentioned, his 4th touchdown of the game, but it wasn't quite enough. It only got the Aussies to within 1 point, and the Cartel win the game 134-133. So they go to 1-1. The Slim Aussies fall to 0-2. A little bit of bad luck both weeks with close losses. The other close game, which again I just noticed just now, was the two newcomers, Baltimore BPE and Chiomes. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The same exact score as the first game we talked about. And let's see if the Monday night game, what that did. I'm going to quickly look at this. We had Philadelphia Sproles. There we go, 31 points. And who else? That's it. And Reggie Wayne only had 5 points. So 36 points from the Monday night game for BPE. Meanwhile, the Chiomes, let's see, doesn't look like they had anyone in the game. So sort of the same exact scenario with the Monday night game, which is the team that was down needed a lot of points to come back. The team that came back and won the game, the Eagles, was helped by, of course, Darren Sproles, who was a big part of that, and 31 points. And at the end of the day, was not enough for the win. So 2 tough luck losers in week 2, both coming down to the primetime games Sunday and Monday, respectively. The other games were not close. We had the Travelers with only 98 points tough week. It was a weird fantasy week, a real weird real life week as well. There was a bunch of like inter-conference games and just not really exciting matchups, a lot of blowouts. So wasn't just a great day of football all the way around. And fantasy-wise too, there wasn't tons of points scored. The Travelers, I think Jamal Charles got hurt early in the game. That explains his 1 point. A.J. Green got hurt, 0 points. So injuries just crazy. They hurt a lot of people. And then the Calvinators had Doug Martin, who didn't even play. And there's really no excuse for that because I think that was announced before the game that he would not play. D'Angelo Williams, I don't know exactly what happened there. And then, again, the Homer tight end pick in the draft, Tim Wright, was 0 points. So Calvinators win in spite of the 3 zeros, in spite of themselves. They do get the win. And I believe they are 1-1. So Calvinators, a little bit of luck there, but they do get the win over the Travelers. The two high-scoring teams were the Stallions and Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy. The Kicking Academy had first pick in the entire draft, Peyton Manning. That's looking like a great pick right there. Peyton's doing what he did last year. Nice day from Alfred Morris. And the two big wide receivers. They were the big beneficiary of Brandon Marshall's game at 27 points, plus Dez Bryant. And another just crazy, while we're on the topic of Dez Bryant, just another example of why the NFL is so damn unpredictable. You had the Cowboys just looking embarrassing at home in week 1 to a good team, but yet embarrassing. Everyone's talking about how bad Tony Romo is. The Titans have a really, really good win. Their defense looks amazing. And guess what? What happens? Tennessee playing at home against the pitiful Cowboys? The Cowboys win 26-10 on the road. So who knows? NFL, so unpredictable. Third and oolong with a lot of points. Not so much on the bottom half here. Big 0 from the Seattle defense. That's unexpected. So a nice 141 points, but not quite enough to reach the Kicking Academy's 183 total. And let's see, the final game would be the Stallions versus Graceland. A new name, but same husband and wife team here. Graceland with 154 points. Obviously Robert Griffin, that doesn't help. And let's see who the back. Had Zach Stacy on the bench, which is interesting. But overall, just pretty good game. 154 points, just not quite enough when the Stallions just have an all-around great game. Obviously, Jordy Nelson, I think he had 200 yards. Let's see here. Jordy Nelson had 209 yards, a touchdown, and 9 catches. So that'll get you almost 40 points right there. 34 points from Antonio Gates, who, great pickup there. Looked washed up. Even without the touchdown, had 7 catches for 96 yards. So that's looking great for a tight end for the Stallions. So, again, Stallions and Ray Finkel's Academy tied for the lead in points for week 2. So that's it. Still early in this season. Let's take a look at the standings. You have the Real Slim Aussies in Graceland 0-2, and another 0-2 team third in Oolong. I believe that Graceland and the Slim Aussies are playing each other this week. We look ahead to week 3, and they are. So someone is going to be 0-3 after this weekend. That's going to be tough. But back to the standings. Ray Finkel's Academy, Kicking Academy, and the Stallions 2-0, both looking very good. Let's look at the total points. That's always key early in the season, where you have a huge advantage of Kicking Academy and the Stallions. And funny, look at that, exactly the same amount of points scored. So they both deserve to be 2-0. And again, really early in the year, we'll see how it plays out. So that's it for this week. Let's hope that all our players stay out of jail, stay off the suspension list, stay off the injured list, and everybody have a great week 3 of fantasy football. Thank you.